SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming from Williams Grove Speedway. First night race. We're here with second place finisher Lance Dewease. Lance, you had a weird race. You know, Anthony takes the lead. He crashes. And then you were going to get second there. And then, of course, they had the red. And then the car was smoking. Did you even think you'd be able to continue?
Well, no, actually, we burned the brakes up in it and cooked the O-rings out of the caliper. And I was just getting ready to come in. I'm getting pushed up the backstretch, and I noticed they start pushing the cars around. So I stopped and asked one official if they were opening it up. And he said, yeah. So I said, okay, we'll just stay out and see if we can do something to make it where I could finish. And basically, we couldn't fix it, but we could unhook the rear caliper. And I had a pedal, but it don't stop you. It's more mental than anything. And at that point, I was just going to try to run second. I wasn't worried about Steven and anything. I was just going to kind of let him go when I start and not get screwed up and not get messed up.
Brake issues. This is like the third time you've had brake issues.
Well, this is different. The hub shifted on it in the heat race and cooked them. And we switched calipers on and the hub shifted again. But you're rushing around. We didn't have a whole lot of time. You know, they're doing a good job. But Kevin and them's doing a good job of keeping the show moving, which I'm great with that. And, you know, we're trying to get everything. You're doing it hot. Everything's hot, and you're trying to fix it. And, you know, we just didn't get it, you know, right or tight or whatever reason it moved the first time, I don't know. This is the first one we had move on us like that. The other deal was something else. So, but it's part of this. It's the growing pains of a new car, new team, and just different stuff. And just we keep working on it.
Another good run. You guys were solid again. Consistency's there. This team seems to be finding its way. It seems like you were gelling well, and you have speed.
Yeah, well, I found some things wrong after last weekend with our race cars. That I changed all the cars this weekend. The cars feels like a race car now. So now we can work on built-in speed, work on the motor program. I felt like my car was probably, I'm going to say, 50% better than what it was last week here. And it just has more grip in it now and all. Now we just have to get it balanced out a little bit. But main thing now, we have to work on the engine program a little bit, get up off the corner a little better, how I like. You know, I'm not one of these guys who want to keep the tires spinning out from underneath it. So, yeah, it just takes a different combination, but we'll work on it.
You got to feel good that things aren't quite the way you want them, and you're still finishing in the top 5 every night.
Oh yeah, I'm really happy with how everything's going. I thought we could have speed early in the year, but you just never know. I mean, I kind of know where I need to go, but it's a different car. You know, the only thing that's same on this thing that I ran last year is the shocks. That's it. Different wings, different motors, different frame, you know, different wheels, everything. So overall, I'm pretty happy. I haven't got a chance to look at times tonight. Our times would have had to been a little closer to the good cars, like in hot laps and all. Now we need to start racing. You know, normal. I mean, this is not normal. It's a little wet, but we've been on Grove like this the last 2 years, so it's not nothing shocking here. Yeah, we just need to get, you know, racing a little bit more on normal night races where we can really work on the race car.
Yeah, and you're going to race a lot. It seems like we talked about that before. I'm sure you'll be at Port tomorrow.
Yep.
Racing more, are you doing anything to kind of prepare for that? I mean, because it's been a while since you raced this much.
The biggest thing is, you know, I've always been pretty good at paying attention to the weather. And if it's going to be hot and humid, you know, you start on Monday to fix that for that coming weekend. Watch what you eat on, you know, those days too. But no, I don't know. I feel really good in the race car. I feel really good when I get out of the race car. I mean, it's pretty humid out today. I mean, it's like a summer night here right now with the humidity. So, I feel pretty good. Like I said, the race car is really comfortable to me, and we just need to keep on tuning on it.
It's almost like you're looking forward to going to the racetrack every night.
Well, I am. Rich is a great guy. We're having fun doing this. He takes the ups and downs really good. Yeah, all these guys are really good guys, except for this guy that's walking by me right now.
Shady.
You know, I only like him because his wife comes around and takes care of my helmet and stuff. So, you know, she could stay, he could leave. Who knows? But no, they're all really good people. And we're having a bunch of fun, and we just have fun. I mean, we carry on and joke, and we just have fun, and we're really looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations on another solid run.
Thank you. Steven don't need to get too fast yet. He's too good of a talent for this stuff already.
I agree.
Yeah.
SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from Port Royal Speedway, kind of wet Port Royal Speedway. We got 22 laps of the main event. The winner, Jake Karklin, first one. It's kind of weird, you know. You didn't get the victory lane thing, you didn't get all the pomp and circumstance, but you go down in the record books.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I mean, it was a pretty eventful night. We had to do from the start, though. We had a time trial on our group and went fourth to first in our heat. Caught on fire after the heat, burned my ankle, but the start of the feature, I mean, we were both going. I hate that it happened, and there's two sides of every story, so it is what it is. But we are to come back after the second restart and get the lead back and pull away. So it was decent.
What happened? Well, first off, after the heat race, you come in and I guess a fuel line burst or something that you had it all over the cockpit. You hop out of the car, you're on the ground.
We had the left side header, the muffler catching fire, must be fuel low. Might not have something with the main bypass or something leaking. But yeah, it caught on fire, burned my ankle, changed my suit, and my shoe was burnt. So just happy to be here, just happy to have the opportunity.
On the start, you're on the pole beside Derek Houck. 9-car pileup. What happened? It looked like, I don't know if the car didn't go or if you guys maybe made contact.
Well, I mean, I'm the leader of the race, and to me, I start the race. We started, I don't know, we were idling at 2,500, and it was my pace, but we were fighting for the grip there, but we went 15 foot before the line, and by the time he went and then came down to take the grip, so I didn't have something. We touched his left rear and my right front, and I got sideways, and I feel bad for the field. I don't want to win like that. I don't want people to wreck. I don't want to be named a dirty driver or anything. I just want to do what I came here to do and race with a self-funded team and compete with these guys.
Weird race. Houck gets the lead, and he hasn't come out of gear. You're out front, and then you develop motor issues.
Yeah.
What started happening? I mean, Ryan Smith was there, then he dropped out with a problem, and I mean, it was wild out there. But you had motor trouble, and Doug Hamaker was coming.
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely lucky. I definitely don't want to win like this. I don't want this to be my first win. But we were just the right spot at the right time. About 12 laps ago, I started noticing a stumble. It was pretty bad. I couldn't get the engine over 6,800 RPMs. I had to keep it half throttle, 3/4 throttle. If I go full throttle, it would basically starve itself and lunge forward. So, we had a battle with what we did, and I was able to keep traction and just go where I had to go to try to keep the car going forward.
When did you notice the rain coming?
Honestly, I thought it was fuel. I have been having fuel leaks all like crazy, and this week we're definitely gonna put new fuel lines on this car. We haven't ran this car yet this year, or the engine, so we'll do that and try to get it better for next week.
A win's a win. It doesn't matter how you get it. Can you take something away from this? I mean, obviously you had speed tonight. You had a lot of problems. You overcame a lot of, and you got your first win.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we run 16, 17 times a year, and we're running with the best guys out here, and I do everything myself. I have one or two crew members sometimes during the week, but it's a lot. So I'm happy. We got the win. And yeah, just keep striving, and our notes are getting better and better each week.
Well, hopefully the next one's more how you envision it.
Yes, I hope so.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from Williams Grove Speedway. First night race of the season. We're here with winner Steven Snyder Jr. Steven, have a victory at Williams Grove, one of the most famed sprint car tracks in the country.
Right.
And now you're on the win list. It's got to feel great.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Riding with the rig today with Kurt and just, talking about how our last run here went, it just wasn't good. And we just came here to log laps, and then just the good Lord above was really looking over us to kind of pull off what we did tonight. Just put us in the right spot every time, and I'm just blessed.
So you're running out front. Anthony goes by you.
Yes.
Coming out of 3 and 4. At that point, I'm sure you're thinking, hey, just hold on for second because he kind of checked out.
Yes.
Did you see what happened with him up on the cushion?
I knew he was probably going to go barreling in there. And with me, I feel like being the leader, I don't know where he was running, really, but I think he was gaining on me from the bottom. And just, being behind the lap cars there, they would kind of just run the middle and slide up. And I felt like that was really killing my momentum. And luckily, when he got around me, you could see he was driving about 8 to 10 more feet harder into the corner than I was. And then I think it just bit him, unfortunately. Like one of the lap cars, I think, just came up and he just, unfortunately, trusted him a little too much. And just, it's just part of racing. It sucks, unfortunately.
Did you guys make any changes during the red? Because actually Lance went by you, but the lap didn't count. And then you just checked out after the red flag.
I saw Macri flip in the corner of my eye, and I kind of missed the bottom there into 3 and 4. And I just, told Kurt, I think we just need to tighten up just a little bit so I can just hammer the curb harder than what I was in lap traffic, because I felt like in lap traffic I was just a little inconsistent. Sometimes I'd be tight, sometimes I'd be a little loose, and I told him, let's just tweak on it right here, and kind of just gave me the drive I wanted off, just so I could just pound the top the way I wanted it to, and the car really came to life in the last eight laps. And then when I got to the lap car, I was just kind of more like, I just want to finish, and luckily it just worked out.
What was it like crossing the line? And when you didn't have to worry about anybody getting you.
Right.
I'm sure you might not have known how close everybody was.
Absolutely.
What was it like going across the line and capping that win?
Just unreal. Like, it's crazy that I have Lance Dewease behind me. He's the all-time win list here, right? And to kind of have him congratulate you and run second to you, it's definitely a real good feeling, because you kind of get respect from one of the greats in the sprint car world, and respect goes a long way in this racing realm. So, and just to cross the finish line in the lead, it's just like, man, I tell myself, man, I really hope I want to win. I want to win all these races. I want to be on the national tours, and I feel like with me running here the first time and clipping off a win, I feel like that's definitely a step in the right direction.
Now a lot of micro success.
Yes.
Finished 5th at Eldora.
Yes.
You have that already. You don't have a ton of starts. You were running. Last year when Reitzel flipped, you were in the top 10 and nowhere to go. You picked this 410 thing up pretty quick. What's been the biggest thing that's helped you pick it up quick and have speed right out of the gate at some of the toughest tracks in the country?
Probably Mike. Trusting me so much, and Kurt. Kurt was a real good driver himself, and just hanging out with him in the shop. 2-3 days a week. We're down there every week doing all stuff on the cars. Just trying to figure out what we need to do better. Just watching a lot of film. Just and it all just feels like I'm meant to be doing it. I feel comfortable racing. I feel comfortable racing in dirty air. It's just more and more laps. I feel like more and more better me and Kurt get, and the little amount of races me and Kurt have, I feel like we've clicked off a lot of good notes, and I feel like you build off of your notes, and that's what makes you win.
What's the plan this year? I know it's ironic, I talked to you guys before the start of the night. You guys got 50 races planned, and I guess this would be your first full season, in a 410. What's the plan this year? And obviously it could expand.
Yes, it always could expand, right? No, just, we got 50 races all scattered around here. We do got a lot of Eldora, all the big money Eldora races, and I feel like, anything could really happen, like what you said. The races could always go to, different races and build more. We got a lot of Ohio Sprint Week, we got some of that on there, and a lot of local stuff here, and when the World of Outlaws and High Limits in town, we plan to run with them. So a lot of big races like that, and then we're going to race with Chad Boat and Spire Motorsports. That is going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to that. I think I think hanging out with him and having a big company like Spire behind us, I think that could lead to good things as well. So I'm just excited for the journey I'm on.
You mentioned the national tour earlier. Is that kind of what you want to do? Do you Outlaws, High Limit, or?
I want to be on any of them. I want to be racing as many times as I can. I love working on them just as much as I do racing. I think that kind of what makes me and Kurt work so well together. We work so much together. Like what I said, 3 days a week in the shop. it just pays off. And then, like what you said, I want to be a national driver running, 60 to 80 races. I think, this is what I want to do for a living. This is what I'm doing right now. And it just, one day it'll pay off. And nights like these, it definitely makes it feel good.
Last thing, did you ever imagine you'd pick this up so quick and have a win already at Williams Grove Speedway?
I don't know. I told my girlfriend the other night, man, if I don't win, I'm going to be looking kind of silly here. So, yeah, it's definitely neat to do that. And I honestly, I have speed, and I just feel like there's a lot of things I still need to learn. But when you click off a win like this and you put notes in the past 3 weeks while we've been running, it's definitely cool. I did not expect us to get a win this quick, but I'm glad we did.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. As you could probably hear, my voice is a little scratchy. We'll keep going as long as we can, as long as it stays to where I can talk. Did the 90 at 9 already, so there will be a 90 at 9 tomorrow. But let's kick things off with your questions. We can talk safety. We can talk about Steven Snyder, the interview you saw prior to me jumping on. Whatever you want, start firing away. Your opinions on car counts for this Friday for Williams Grove and Selinsgrove. Ooh, that's dicey. I think the Grove will get more, obviously. I'm going to say somewhere in the teens for Selinsgrove, and I'll say Williams Grove like 26, 27. We're going to have some invaders in. I saw some questions in there about that. I think you're going to see Chase Dietz and Danny Dietrich go up to Selinsgrove. And so you're going to get addition but subtraction. So I'm going to say 27 at Williams Grove and 18 at Selinsgrove. Bob on line one. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I like to study how much the teams make through the course of the year, like reading after the races and stuff. My question was, with a team with an average sponsor that runs consistently 16th to 20th in their features, is that enough money for a traveling team to make it?
No, because okay, with a traveling team, you're gonna have personnel. Okay, you're paying a crew chief, you're paying tire guy and a car chief. That's number one. Now, there's a couple teams where Bill Baylog, for instance, I don't think he has a crew chief per se. I think he has people that help him out. And I think it could depend on the region he's in even. So obviously it doesn't take as much for him to make it over, say, what David Gravel's payroll is or what Roth Motorsports payroll is. I think Tanner Thorson's budget is probably a lot smaller, and what he puts out as far as crew is a lot smaller than, say, what Rico Abreu puts out. But still, if you're only taking in $1,200 a night, or $1,000 a night, that's going to be a problem in the long run. Because I'm sure if you're finishing back there all the time, you're probably missing shows. And I also believe that you're probably sometimes having mechanical problems. So no, you're not going to make it as a traveling team finishing 16th to 20th every night. Now they do get some good tow money, obviously with the World of Outlaws. High Limit has a franchise system. But you're going to have to get some better runs than that at some point to make ends meet.
but there does seem to be teams that do that.
For 1 year.
Like Bill Rose's team.
Well, okay, now Bill Rose, though, even last year, there were a couple times Zach Hampton finished in the top 10. A couple times already this year, Casey Jedrzak, who I think's been impressive so far doesn't have a ton of 410 starts. I believe he had a 9th at Volusia, and I think Bill's the crew chief too. Bill is doing it kind of on a scaled back budget. So there's some of that going on with that team. And Bill, the World of Outlaws gives some pretty good tow money. And I think Bill Rose can stretch it a dime to equal $1 sometimes. But again, most teams like that, they're gone in a year.
Okay, my final question is Knoxville starts this weekend. They're also running at I-70. People like Brian Brown, you think he'll come to Knoxville or go to I-70?
Doesn't Knoxville start next week on the 18th?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Okay, never mind.
No problem. No problem.
All right, thanks for taking the call.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye. All right, what else do we got? Jeremy, do you think some high rollers will go to Peevely since there's some going to PA? I've heard Rico Abreu could be at Peevely. I think he could be the only one. Maybe Chase Randall. I could see Chase Randall rolling into Peevely. Brenham Crouch is going to Attica, from what I know. I hear Courtney's could be going to Attica. And then obviously the guys coming in here. So I think you could see Rico, Chase Randall, maybe at Peevely. But Rico's the only one where I've heard a lot of, steam behind going to the Outlaw show. I don't know about Thorson. Back in the early 2000s, tracks had good grandstands of fans. What do tracks need to do to get fans interested in coming to the races in person again? Boy, that's a loaded question that could probably take an hour to answer. I'll try and keep it as tight as I can. You just, first off, got to promote better. I mean, actually promote. Again, I'm going to point to Colton Gauss at Baps Motor Speedway. Do 50% off at the beginning of the year. Make fans feel like they're getting something back. Make fans feel like you understand the costs of gas to get to the races, ticket prices. I'm all for, if you go one night, hey, bring your rain check back and get $2 to $5 off. I think those types of things right now go a long way, especially with gas prices rising. I think you got to keep your shows tight. I don't think yes, there are some people who don't care if they sit there until 1 o'clock. You're going to get them regardless. You've got to get the fringe fan. So I believe you got to keep your shows relatively tight. 3-hour show. 3 hours. Come on. We look, if it goes 3 hours and 15 minutes, fine. But the goal should be 3 hours. 3.5. You start getting into 4 and 5, and then people, you lose them, especially if they're kids and especially if they're young. So I think you need to get out in the community. I think you need to get in schools. I think you need to, I know in Central PA, they have Jubilee Day, which is a 1 day, it's like a street fair thing, but it's huge. It has vendors and 90,000 people roll through that in a day. I know one racetrack that goes. One. I don't get it. Like, you have 90,000 people rolling through there. Again, it's getting into community. It's understanding ticket prices, understand what the fans are looking for. I think doing surveys with fans, those are the things that I would do to get people back into the grandstands. Any idea when Steven Snyder Jr.'s first race will be with Chad Boat and Spire Motorsports? I do not, unfortunately, Eric. I don't. I think it's going to be some midget stuff. I don't even know if it's going to be a 410. He didn't really follow up on that. So but he's going to do a few races with him. We'll see if something happens down the road with that. But I don't know when it is. No. Damon on line 2. Damon, how are you?
Oh, hello, I'm good. How are you?
Doing okay.
Man, that's good. What's your favorite sprint car series?
I don't have one. I really don't. To me, I like.
Well, like,
No, wait. I like the Outlaws. I like High Limit. I don't have a favorite. I report on them the same way. If one of them messes up or does something I have to write bad about, I'll do it. If they do something good, I write positive stuff about it. I will tell you, I do like big events. I really gravitate to, like, if you ask me what event is my favorite, I'll say the King's Royal. Stuff like that. I like big events and the high-paying events.
yeah. Well, I was wondering because, like, PA Posse's new, Highland's pretty new, and then the other ones. And what about Laws is, greatest show on dirt. I was just wondering, like, maybe like format or show wise or what what like really works in a way, or like it's just settling.
Okay. I mean, I like the formats for the National Touring Series. I don't have a problem with either of them. I know some people don't like the Outlaws format. It's the top fuel of sprint car racing. I have no problem with it. The high limit format really isn't that much different, but there's some differences to it. I like them both. As far as the PA Posse 410 Sprint Car Series, I think that has a long way to go. There's things I don't like about it, and I don't really think we know what the effect's going to be on Central Pennsylvania. We saw low car counts last week when Port Royal and Lincoln went against each other for a regular weekly show. So I think there's a negative impact possibly of the PA Posse 410 Sprint Car Series. We'll see. We don't have a big enough sample size yet. But I like a lot of things with the National Touring Series. I think the formats are decent, and they both work.
Yeah. I mean, like the Power Eye one, that one's really small, and there's a lot of small ones. So I understand. I get what you're saying.
Yep. Yeah, I like the regional series too, though. I think the regional series looks strong. You have 11 All-Stars. I mean, Power Eye, what do you have, 15 of them? And NARC. I mean, I think all the regional series, IRA, they look pretty good right now. So I think it's in a good spot.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep, no problem, David. All right. Surprised to see Peck and Bacon coming in this weekend. I did expect Holmes and Marks, but not Peck. Should easily have a full field at Williams Grove on Friday. Yeah, I agree. Bacon's still going to run here with Shawn Michael. So it really doesn't surprise me at all that he's going to be in this week. He's going to run more winged races. He said that before last year, and he followed through with that. And he said he was coming back to the 20 car this year to run spot events. So it doesn't surprise me at all. Peck. Yeah, Peck, I know, was looking at Peevely, but I think there could be some weather issues. So I don't know. I think he just decided to come to PA because the weather looks really good here. So yeah, we should have some good fields in Central PA this week. Good run for Carmen Perigo at Tyler County. I wish the crafty veteran would run more local shows. He would be a great 90 at 9. Yeah, I remember Carmen Perigo in the Super Sportsman class. I won the track title, I believe, one year. He was actually my dad's favorite driver at the end of the Silver Springs run there. So, yeah, no, Carmen was always a good driver, loves the bottom, gets around pretty good. It brings back memories of going to Silver Springs. Will they put someone in the Macri 39M? Look, you don't say never, but I think it's unlikely. Just talking to the team. Who you get? It's really early in the season. There's really nobody on the hot seat yet. I don't think there's really nobody available who is going to be competitive at a really high level. And that car, with the expenses it has, probably is cheaper to sit. Now you got sponsorships and other things, but we got to remember that car is expected to win. And that's a tall order. So I think it sits. Maybe somebody gets in for a big race, but I think it sits. The list of invaders is starting to come together for this weekend in Central PA. Should we be expecting anyone who has yet to be announced? Well, I don't know everyone who's been announced, but you can expect Peck, Holmes, Gio Salzi. You can expect Kerry Madsen. Those are the four that stick out off the top of my head. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what Tanner Thorson's doing. Maybe he's not doing anything. I don't really know. But I've heard nothing from Aaron Wright, so I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Wright just takes another weekend off. Power I doesn't run, I believe. So I don't expect him to go there. I don't know if there's any 360 stuff in the Midwest. But no, those are the four that I know of right now, unless I'm missing somebody, which could be. And Marks, of course, but he lives here. Your talk about Ohio having the niche in the sprint car world, that exactly do you mean by that? You talk about Ohio having its niche. Meaning I think it has its space. I think Central Pennsylvania is the biggest. I think you start getting into the Midwest and Knoxville area, then Ohio, and then California. California, guys, there seems to be a pipeline to Ohio. Okay, that gives Ohio what you would call street cred. I think Ohio, obviously the home base for Fremont and Attica and Eldora. I think they have their little spot carved out in sprint car racing as an area, as a sprint car rich area, so to speak. That's kind of what that means. Would you ever consider doing live reports from the racetracks throughout the race event? Look, I'm thinking about doing, because it's similar to hockey. If you ever watch a hockey game, between periods, they go to a desk and there's like 2 people or 3 people sitting there and they talk about what happened or whatever. And then they preview what's upcoming. Here's the problem. And I thought about doing something this week, maybe, or next week. The facilities aren't built for it. I was talking to a promoter today, and I'm like, Central Pennsylvania is the biggest area, and there's just the logistics to try and do something are just almost too much to overcome and make it look good, not make it look low rent. I don't want a table and a chair and there's, it's just like you see in a school room, and that's not what you want to make it look good. And these facilities, I'll be honest, there's no way to do those types of things. Now, if you go to Eldora, you can. You go in the media center, there's a desk there, you could sit. It looks professional. Everything's good. It'd be great. Other tracks don't have that. In fact, the internet usually stinks because I've tried and used the internet. I tried to do a live show at Williams Grove, and that was difficult. It kept cutting in and out because I was using their internet. It's just the facilities themselves do not lend themselves to doing good content is the best way to frame it. But I'd love to do more. I have a bunch of ideas, but the tracks they just don't have the facilities to do it. It's a logistical nightmare. Do you think the wreck and injury make Macri take a step back from racing, or does it make him go harder to prove he can still win when he comes back? Look, I'm sure like any athlete or anybody who gets injured in their respective sport, I'm sure it makes him pause. I mean, he wouldn't be human if he didn't. But I think Macri's going to come back. I think he's going to race the same way he always races. I don't think he's going to quit. I don't think he's going to be hesitant. I don't think he was hesitant, after last year's deal with Eldora. It's interesting. I mean, I have talked to some people who have reviewed the accident. So if people want to ask me exactly what happened, I can go through it. I did talk to Dave Sharpley right before I got on the air from Sharp Advantage. And I'm sure we'll be talking to him in the future. But I had some questions and he answered them. But no, I think Macri will be back. And I don't think it's to prove anything. I think it's because of what he knows, and it's what he does for a living. Having a debate with a friend of mine, would you put Rick Ferkel in your top 10 all time or even the top 20? I personally wouldn't, due to his lack of Knoxville Nationals or National Open wins. I have to remember back during COVID, I did a bunch of lists. Ferkel does not make my top. He did not make my top 20. He did not. You got guys, and it's no disrespect to Rick Ferkel. I think part of the problem is now we have more races or more big races that guys can effectively pad their stats. And I don't mean padded in a bad way, but they can build up stats. Rick Ferkel didn't have those opportunities as much. Brad Sweet. I mean, Brad Sweet, David Gravel, Steve Kinzer, Mark Kinzer, Dave Blaney, Doug Wolfgang, Sammy Swindell, Donnie Schatz. I mean, you're just going to start running down those guys and you're already at 10, 12. So now you only got 8 guys. So yeah, I can't put him in the top 20. Probably no fault of his own. He didn't have an opportunity to race for some of the accolades that these other guys did. Checking in for a weather forecast for PA Speed Week. Are you kidding me? I know it's early, but I've made the drive from North Carolina every year and only see a couple races due to rain cancellations. If I could see that far in the future, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now, be at a casino. Is SprintCarUnlimited.tv doing any races this year? Speed Week shows Grandview, Hagerstown, Selinsgrove. We're in the process of trying to get those. And if we do get our Speed Week shows, if we do have the same Speed Week shows we had last year, I will be doing more with SprintCarUnlimited.tv leading up to it, more content to just get back on the map, and maybe some shop tours or some special odds and ends on that platform, just to kind of give people more content. But I hope to know soon. Who's your pick to win at Sealands Grove Friday night? Chase Deeds. Had a bad weekend last week, so I'm gonna pick him to bounce back. Do we know what broke on the 69K Saturday night? He had something go through the radiator. Rico made a permanent move to the Indy region. It seems like it. I know the shop's there. I know he built this new shop. Obviously, you could catch the video on YouTube. So yeah, I would assume he did. Weekly merch excuse. I honestly just haven't checked on it. It's not an excuse. I just haven't checked on it recently. Waiting for some things to come down the pike here. Hearing the 19 is back on the porch in PA this weekend. Will he be racing all three shows? I don't know if he'll race all three. But yes, he will be racing this weekend. Last I checked with him, he didn't know which ones yet. Same with Kerry Madsen. Kerry Madsen will be here, just don't know which shows he's running yet. Hey, quick question, new to the sport. Do some drivers exercise outside of racing to keep fit and ready to race? Just generally curious. Yes. A big Logan Schuchart does a lot. Carson Macedo. I think there's quite a few guys who are out on the road on the national tours. I know Buddy Kofoid's worked out, especially after his recent illness. He worked out. So, yeah, guys definitely try to stay in shape. All-Stars have a very interesting roster this season. I thought so, too. I think adding Bryce Lucius, who's had some good runs with the World of Outlaws, I think that's a good get. And, Zach Hampton, obviously, it's a name people know, and it's going to be interesting to see how he fares on a series like that. We have, Caleb Thomas, Caleb Henry, again, who battled it out last year. And again, the All-Stars, if you're not going to see, with High Limit being in play, you're not going to see like Aaron Reitzel, Justin Peck, Tyler Courtney running those series anymore. They're going to be true regional series. You're not going to see national guys on them. And I think that's the point. So I like the roster. I think it's what it's going to be I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a training ground or guys who don't want to race at one track every week. And so I think I think the regional series are pretty good right now. Jeremy, have you read Flea Rudsick's post on sprint car safety? He brings up a lot of great points, changes, and the cause and effect factor. Interesting perspective that has a lot of merit. Yeah, no, Flea is pretty active on social media with that stuff. Could be a guy I try and get on the deep dive at some point. It's very hard for me to get behind safety because I beat that drum so long and nothing seems to really get done. But, when somebody of prominence gets hurt, it's a rallying cry, so to speak. Sorry to say, if it would have been somebody running in the back who's a lesser name, this wouldn't be as big of a deal now. That's just a fact. It's people can deny it, but it's true. It's because it was Anthony Macri, a top 5 guy, and he was hurt last year. It was Tyler Courtney last year. It was Brad Sweet last year. It was Aaron Reitzel last year. All big names, top 10, 12, 15 guys. If we're talking about the 50th place guy, people don't care. That's a shame. I don't agree with it, but it's true. No, I think Fleet and guys like Dave Sharpley, who I talked to earlier, they bring up a lot of good points. We have to remember with any changes, it's Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And while the cars are stiffer, and we've done things to make the cars stiffer to take care of some safety issues, it probably isn't as good when they come down flat on all fours. So I think we got to be careful with that. And I think that's something that we need studied. We need mountains of data. I said it in the 90 at 9 this morning. I don't think it's a blanket thing. I think it's the sport's in a difficult spot too, because you're not changing things for 20 cars. 902 guys ran races last year in a 410 sprint car. 902. If you make a wholesale car change, you're not going to have 902 guys. It's going to be cut down to possibly under 100. So there's a lot to think about. But no, Flea does a good job. Justin Cox got injured at a high limit show 2 years ago, and no one said a word. Case in point. Now, Chase Johnson did, and there was a lot said. So I do think when it happens on a national stage, it seems to be more, but that all comes into play. Yes, but you're not incorrect. We have to make a national rule to run the XC seat system or the chasm system. Anthony Macri had the chasm system. Now, the question becomes, from everything I'm told, the chasm system did its job. Would it have been worse if he didn't have it? Because according to the people I've talked to who reviewed the crash, the seat was coming down and the torque tube was coming up. That's what happened, according to the people who I talked to who looked at the crash. So that's what happened. Now, I don't know enough about the chasm system. Full disclosure, I was told it did its job. Would it have been worse? Here's one thing. If the left rear hits a little before the right, we're not even talking about this. He's fine. And we do have to remember, while injuries are bad, I'm not saying they're not. Take the number of injuries in relationship to the number of crashes. The number's still low. Now, we want to get them lower. I get all that. But I think there's perspective. And it's a moving target for this sport. It's a moving target for the teams. It's a moving target for the powers that be in this sport. It is not an easy fix. It is not an easy fix because you have supply issues. You have cost, studies, gathering data. And we're so fragmented, both regionally and nationally. So it's not an easy fix. Where's the sprint car safety committee that was at the PRI show? Crickets. No, I do know that there are a couple people who reached out to Macri's team who have some, whether they're on the board or not, they are attached to some of the people on the board. It's been discussed. Just because they didn't put something out for everybody to see on social media doesn't mean it's crickets. Everybody wants everybody to talk about it in the first 3 days. They want answers. They want it now. That's not how things are done. That's not how things are done in the stick and ball sports. It could take a year for their studies to be done before they release anything to the public. Or it could be relatively quick. It's a moving target. But I do know a couple people reached out to Macri Motorsports. Glad Kevin Now's kept the show going Friday night at the Grove. Yeah, no, it was good. Less of a break between qualifying and the feature, which I think was a sticking point for the Grove for years. So no, it was definitely quicker. I'm not going to complain about that. No Justin Woodall at all last week. Apparently he's serious about PA Posse Series only. You surprised by that? No, he told me that. His dad told me that. They're going to focus on that series. And it's 47 races. And plus he's going to run the sanctioned races. That puts you about 64 for the year. Makes sense. 64 races. I don't know if Justin Woodall's ever run 64 races in a season. I mean, in fact, I almost guarantee he hasn't. I can check. It's real easy. Justin Woodall, the most races he's run in a season, 58. So now there's rainouts and other things, but yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Do you have any idea who might be headed to Attica? Well, I think you're going to have your all-star regulars. I think you're going to have your Ohio regulars. I expect 50 cars. Brenham Crouch, I've heard the 7BC, but I'm unsure about that. I've not confirmed that. But Brenham Crouch is going. So I think you're going to have a good field. All right. Do you have any idea? Okay, you already got that. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry. I got a text message. I'm always getting text messages during the show. Zeb Wise to the 39. I don't know if Zeb really wants to do that. I mean, come in and run a car and then leave in 2-3 months, whatever the length of time is. I don't off the couch. I don't know. That just doesn't seem like a good fit doing that. And I don't even know if that's something he would want to do. Sprint Invaders at 34 Raceway for 360s, I believe. I wouldn't doubt if Aaron Reitzel's there. He loves to run that 360. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And it's close to home. Thank you, Master Gassers. That's I didn't know that. Port Royal should get 45 to 50 cars with the outsiders paying a visit. Ooh, I'm going to go way. I don't think they're getting 45, 50 cars. Nope. I don't think so. I would be shocked if they get that many. I'm thinking 35. Thinking 35. What is the hockey parlay for tonight? You know, I had a weird week. I lost the one last week. Then I came back the next night and hit a parlay and a goal scorer. So I made it back and then some. And then I hit another, I hit a couple others during the week. Then I lost like 3 in a row. Tonight I'm heavy on the Stars and the Ducks. I have the Stars in a money line parlay with the Ducks, and I have the Stars beating the Flames by 2. So that's kind of a no-no. You don't really have 2 bets on the same game, meaning where one side could cost you both bets. But I'm really heavy on the Stars tonight, and I might make a play at 9:38 in the Oilers game just because I love betting on the Oilers. So go Stars tonight. The Ducks have bitten me like 4 times. They're on a 5-game skid. They got to pull through. So the local teams now have to compete with national teams at a Posse Series event. Don't see how this is a good thing when the locals are running for points. I mean, you can't stop guys from showing up, I mean, it's only 4 of them. It's not like you're getting, 10 or 15. It's 4 or 5 guys. You can't stop them from coming. And let's face it, it brings crowd. It brings crowd. And with a $4,000 sanction fee and a $3,000 extra purse, you need all the people you can get, and you need all the back gate you can get. So I think the tracks are good with it. Jeremy, Williams Grove has the pavilion booth in the infield, which is used for interviews during the Natty-O. Yeah, I know they do, but I guess I'm looking for something a little more professional, something that looks a little better. Let's do it a little upscale. People don't realize how much of a miracle it is sometimes that Dirt Vision and Flow get a signal out of some of these places. Yeah, it's called a satellite dish. We used one at Path Valley and Grandview. Yeah, sometimes it is. People don't realize how difficult streaming can be at times, getting out of these places. Grandview doesn't have internet at all. And it's 2026. How do you not have internet? But it's the way it is. Jeremy in the 39M for one night only. Negative on that. I wouldn't get behind the wheel of one of these things if you get. No way. I'd never make it into turn 1. No way. Who wins on Friday at Williams Grove? Invaders like Peck, Holmes, Marks, or local like Dewease, Wogman, or Raymer? For me, I have a feeling that Raymer will win on Friday night. Throw a lot of names out there. I think Marks is probably the best of the Invaders because Marks always has a good package at the Grove. So I don't. Marks definitely. I'll say Marks. I think Marks will win. Any thoughts on car counts this weekend? Well, I already said the Grove. I think 18 maybe at Sealands Grove. I think maybe 27, 28 and then 35 at Port. Baps 33, 34, something like that. As far as Macri's wreck goes, nothing ever ends well when the rear tires land at the same time. His wreck didn't look too bad, but neither did Chase Johnson's in 2024. That type of landing is no joke. There's stiff. You have stiff bottom rails. Yes. I mean, there's not much to say. You pretty much said it. Doesn't have to be a vicious crash to get hurt. Did Husitz put in new dirt? Yes, they did. What do you know about the crash? These cars are just not able to land hard on the back wheels without driver injuries. Seat was coming down, torque tube coming up. They met. That's what happened. Cars are stiff. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on the Karklin deal from Saturday? I've watched it a couple times. There was contact between him and Houck at the start, and he seemed to get a little out of shape and had to gather it up, and it bottled up the field. Zerfoss ran in the back of him, and it just started a chain reaction. It did look like there was a little contact between the front row. And if you go look at the cars, you could see a rub there. It's unfortunate. Took out 9 cars. It was a 10-car deal or something like that. So it's a shame. It's a shame. It was like, I know he wasn't even happy with the win afterward. It wasn't, just wasn't anticlimactic. He didn't even get to go to victory lane. So I'm sure he's waiting for the next one. So what is a traveling team Woo High Limit priority? Stay committed to the series schedule. Sorry, Woo, only 4, or race when time, weather, and equipment permit. I think every team's objective is different. I think it depends. Like, teams in their off weeks want to go to Knoxville. High limit guys get to do that more than the Outlaws do. I think that's a big priority. You have high limit guys who get to go to Port Royal this week because they have 8 shows there this year and they're going to be there in a month. So I think that's a big piece of it. I think there are a lot of moving parts. Each team has a different budget. They have a different, it's just different needs and different wants. So I don't think there's a set, like David Gravel really doesn't go in an off week. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. And the schedules are now so divided, you can't get to a high limit race other than the 2 at Eldora. I think you could see a couple go to Eagle and maybe 1 or 2 other, but the schedules don't jive as much anymore. So, I just think they have, it's all about getting time at Knoxville and tracks where they run a lot at. Port Royal. Uh, 55 is confirmed for Sealands Grove, so I would guess Sealands Grove and Port for them. Makes sense. Tanner Holmes coming to PA this weekend. Yes, he's going to run Grove, Port, Baps, from what I gather. Hopefully all these invaders and nice weather get everyone out to the tracks this weekend. You always mention promotion. Pay someone like Holmes to do a promotion video. I'm sure he's going to do something, but you gotta, there's costs involved. I think there's a lot of moving parts to promotion, not just, I don't think it's bad if any driver does a video where they're going to go, a national touring guy, but I think there needs to be more. Loaded question. Compression fractures seem like they're picking up, but it could be recency bias. Either way, what could it take for national tours to make real cockpit changes? An act of God. Think about it. You're going to have to redo the whole car. So then you got to get 30 guys to get rid of their old equipment and redo the car. You can't just make changes in the way the car is now. You just can't do it. So then you got to get a manufacturer who's going to be able to supply all 30 guys. Oh, by the way, then they go to all these regions. Well, they're not going to let those guys run against their guys with different cars. So now you got to supply each region. It's a logistical nightmare. And you're going to ask these small teams to just fit the bill for that? It's going to put them out of business. It's a bad business move anyway, owning a sprint car team. I don't know how you could do that. I don't even know what that would look like. You're waiting 1.5 years for motors now in some cases. How do you think it's going to be for frames and other pieces to fit a new car design? It's a logistical nightmare. That's what makes this such a difficult fix. Cost and supply. Jeremy, can you spill the beans on the Central PA motor builder that's going under moving yet? No, I cannot. I will have a story, though, on SprintCarUnlimited.com when I'm allowed. I just started really keeping up with the PA sprints and trying to find a favorite driver, leaning towards Chase Dietz or Logan Wagner. Okay. That's all right. You'll have enough choices. Hang on a second. All right. What happened to Lance Dewease at Port Royal? It was a valve spring on the motor. During the heat race, it was a nozzle came off, and then in the feature, it was a valve spring in the motor. What's your latest on the tire situation? Pricing, supply, quality, and competition. It's been pretty quiet. I've heard very little about tires and what's going to happen when. Hang on a second. Okay, go ahead. I got paralyzed. Paralyzed leg going 5 miles per hour. It's hit or miss stuff. Yeah, I can't. It's very random. Sometimes it's just unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that you got paralyzed like that. Obviously, that's never. It's a shame, and I apologize. I hate it for you, but yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's just random and bad luck, and that's not a good answer, but it's what it is. Jeremy, real question: if a driver injured or dies at a track, does the insurance go up for the track? They have what's called a run loss report, and I think it depends on, does somebody sue? Were you negligent? There's a lot of mitigating factors on that. It definitely does not help. And I do think it's whether a claim is filed. So if a claim's filed, in the case of, say, an injury, it goes against something called the lost run report. If that lost run report, if it gets too high, you're going to be in trouble. So obviously, tracks are. Let's face. I happened at a drivers' meeting at Port Royal. The promoter of Port Royal came out and said, "Look, we can't have any incidents at the track this year. Cracking down. They're limiting where photographers could go. They're doing a lot of different things. Insurance is tough now. It's like 2 or 3 carriers. There's just not a lot of wiggle room anymore. There used to be 10. So insurance is a real issue in this sport. You need to add some safety manufacturers to your deep dive show. I'm hoping to have along those lines. Yes, it's something I'm looking to do. Yes, I will do that. Port Royal could have used now Saturday. They screwed around so much. The 10-car pileup didn't help. That it wasn't as long as you think. It just felt long. Because I was looking down at my phone at the time, and I expected it to be later, but the 10-car pileup didn't help. That just didn't work. It's all good. Shit happens. These tracks are insane for people like me in wheelchairs. Well, again, I talked about the internet earlier. I don't think they're very modernized with handicap accessible either. I think, yes, they could do a better job the whole way around. Jeremy, do you know if the Lane Racing car is going to race this season? I have not heard anything on Lane Racing yet, but I will definitely put a feeler out there. It's very tough to make going that fast in that light of a machine completely safe. Plus, like Jeremy said, you require something that's a few $1,000s or a new car, half your local teams go. Yeah, again, there's no easy fix. And I think the powers that be are concerned. I do think they care about it. I just don't think there's much you can do because of obviously the logistical issues, which again, 900 guys, you're not dealing with a small group of guys where you can make a change and everybody can afford it. If the NFL makes a change, you have 32 billionaire owners, it's not a problem. You know, Sprint Car Racing has 902 guys scattered across the country, running regional, national, local, and they have all different tax brackets. And you're going to ask them to make a wholesale change. It just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work. That's the same thing with motors. People say, oh, well, change the motors. Well, there's people running motors 5, 6, 7 years old. It just is a logistical nightmare. Eric's giving me the one to go sign. I don't know. John on line 3. John, how are you?
Yeah, hi, good, Jeremy, good. Hey, going back to Port Royal there on Saturday, I mean, do you really think that they needed to have 3 divisions there? I mean, when you have 305, I mean, that's like having 2 divisions already with the amount of cars they bring. I think 3 divisions is what made it run really long, and the red. But
I thought they got through the 30. I thought they got through the 305s. There were only, I believe, 18 limited late models. I don't know why it felt long.
Right.
It just did. I'm not a fan of 3 division shows by any means. If you're going to get me to say I like 3 division shows, I'm going to kick that can down the road. But I don't like 3 division shows, but I understand why a Saturday night track does it. And I mean, it's not going to change. Port does that
on a regular admission fee, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Lincoln doesn't do that often.
The regular.
Yeah. So it's not changing.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about, I see that Sweet wasn't at the California show there over the weekend, and that's probably a good thing because he would dominate that if he ran that every week.
Well, he won at Thunderbolt. He won the last.
Sweet did?
Yeah, he beat Justin Sanders. Now it wasn't this week.
I'm
It was the previous week.
I'm thinking of 360.
Yeah, no, Sweet's not going to run a 360. Yeah, no, he's not going to run a 360.
Yeah, right. He has any of the 410s he might. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, Jeremy. I'll let you go.
All right, thanks, John. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Bye now.
Bye-bye. All right, let's catch up on some questions. Any update on Lucas Wolf? No. Still sponsorship stuff going on there, and I don't know when to expect him back. A couple weeks ago, I heard of a big money 305 show. Did that take place already, or do you know any details about it? I guess that was in the Midwest, lower Midwest, big 305 show. I've heard about it. I haven't seen anything on it. I'm not 100% sure when it's taking place. So I apologize for that. Is there any sort of time frame on Macri's recovery? Not really. I think it's listed as indefinite. I think it could be anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months. I think you're looking at a significant amount of time. If Rich and Lance can get the mechanical woes figured out, they'll easily have a 10-win season. Easily? I don't know about easily. You still have Chase Dietz. You still have Danny Dietrich. The series races will make it a little tougher because everybody's going to be there. I don't think a 10-win season is easy by any stretch. By any stretch. Are you and Chaz good now after your phone call the other day? Any closer to having a there's not going to be a Chaz Jeremy show to Crown Jewel this year. No. I do my own thing. It's going to remain that way. Put Jeremy in the Beer Hill gang booth on the backstretch, problem solved. No. I want something a little more upscale. Let's class it up a little bit. Is the Hershey Sprint Car Show at the stadium worth attending? Yeah, no, it was a good, lot of turnout. I think the World of Outlaws, again, when I talk about promotion, I think that's one of their better promotions. You get locals and you get the World of Outlaws guys. They all show up and they go to the Hershey Stadium. I think a lot of kids are there. A lot of families come in. They have a lot. Each driver's signing autographs. I think it's very much worth it. I think it's one of the better things they do. Marks will win more Central PA races this than outside of PA. Thoughts? I don't know. It's running a lot of races in PA. Got 8 at Port Royal, 1 at Grandview. So there's a lot of opportunities. I think they have 1 at Lernerville still. And then he's going to probably run a National Open. That's a tough one. I think he'll get a couple outside the area, though. What's your favorite area of the country to be in when you travel in the summer? It can be for racing reasons or personal enjoyment of the area, your choice. I don't really vacation. I go and then usually leave. But I do like seeing other places. I think probably the best answer is where I'd like to go. I'd like to go to Skagit. That's a place where I'm looking forward to going at some point. I like the Dakotas. I just love going to Eldora Kings Royal and everything about it. But I don't vacation much. I don't have time. Sorry to say, but if I can get to Skagit, I think that'll probably be a slam dunk. Did Marks fire his pit crew yet? Not that I know of. I've not heard anything about it. Sorry, just got on. Any thoughts of Lucas Wolf running the 39? No, I don't think Lucas wants to run somebody else's car. I just think that tells people he's doesn't need sponsorship. I don't think that's something he's interested in at all. Islanders Waugh and Peter DeBoer, a.k.a. Cousin Eddie, in with 1 week left in the season. You surprised DeBoer signed on now? Yes and no. I'm surprised you get rid of a coach when you're in a playoff spot. I think he let him finish it out, but I understand it because DeBoer was going to be off the market in the offseason. So if that's the guy you want, you have to get him. Otherwise, you're going to get in a bidding war, or you may not get him. It tells me they were thinking about pulling the plug on Patrick Waugh way before this week. They can say they don't like the direction of the team during a 4-game losing streak, but you don't make a decision like that quick. So that's I think they just want to pull the trigger. Sweet is really helping. Tracks are in good shape. Car count growing. We'll see. It's a long year. Can't base anything on 2 events. Do you think Peck was better off in the 13 car? The 26 ride seemed like a step up, but on average, the results do not seem to reflect that. I think the 26 car is in flux. And what I mean by that is I think they're okay. Yeah, the motor switches now. You have the crew chief switch now. You have all these moving parts, and that's not a winning combination. You can't have that many moving parts. So I think they're in flux. We'll see how the situation develops. It's still early in the year. Peck has had 8 high limit races. So with the switch in motors, with the new crew, with the new crew chief, so to speak, you got to give him a little bit of time. But I'd say time's draining quick. So I thought it would be better. It hasn't been better. So I think now with the changes they have made, I think they got to produce some results. And I think Justin Peck would say that. If SpongeBob could do sprint car racing, do you think he would do it? What race? Get out of here. I don't even know what that means. Jeremy hates 360s at Marshalltown in August. No, I wouldn't go to a 410 race at Marshalltown. After you do the 360s and you do the front row, and you got 4 nights coming up, I'm not driving to Marshalltown. No, I'm not doing it. That doesn't matter. I don't care if they have the Indy 500 there. I'm not doing it. Doesn't mean I hate 360s because I go to the 360 Nationals. Jeremy, what's your opinion on Steve Snyder Jr., and are you feeling like he is in it for the long haul? It might be my 90 at 9 tomorrow. Sorry to be vague, but I do touch on Steven Snyder Jr. in the 90 at 9 tomorrow. So I'll let that answer that question. You have to wait till tomorrow morning. Scott on line 5. Scott, what do you got?
Hey, Jeremy, I guess a question about Fort Royal. Did they change track prep guys?
No, I mean, they were supposed to. I think Steinley's still there, so I'm sure he offers up some opinion and offers up suggestions. I think he's still in the building. Let's put it that way. He definitely has a footprint on that speedway.
We got definitely a problem in the middle of them corners, no doubt.
Well, they did put clay on a little late this year. I don't know if that's a problem. It just didn't have time to knead in like it needs to. But yeah, it is rougher than it's been. That is true. The first two, and I was talking to a friend of mine this week, and you could say, well, the California tracks are rough, and the guys deal with it. Well, they're not going 140 either. Big track means big speed, and it's different. It's different hitting a rut at 115, 120, 140 than it is hitting it on a small track at a lower speed. So, yeah, Port Royal has some work to do on the corners, definitely.
Yeah, I hate to see it like that. It takes away from the racing there, big time.
Yeah, it can.
They had those three divisions the other night. They had I counted at least 4 10 to 15 minute breaks throughout the night.
Yeah, I'm a bad judge on weekly shows because I'm not. Let's just say they're not as exciting as big events, but I didn't think it was hateful because it was still from the time they started, they were within that 3-hour window, and then they got that 10-car pileup. So it wasn't as bad as it seemed. So yes, they had some breaks. Their opening ceremonies take a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get to it.
Started that. They
Yeah.
should have started that whole deal at 5 o'clock, considering they knew it was rain coming in.
Well, it kind of popped up. It came up quick. Now, they should have known, and they would have got the sprint car feature in if not for the 10-car pileup.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was the last thing I was expecting for the yellow to be thrown for. I'm thinking debris maybe, but
Yeah.
Wow. I do know that the Capetta Garrett deal that's signed over now, so that's a go.
Trenton Schaefer's running it. Trenton Schaefer's running the Garrett deal now.
Huh.
Yep.
It's not what I know, but I'm not going to say, so not up to me. Yeah. That's about all I got.
All right, Scott.
Get them all in this weekend, and yep, thank you.
Yep, no problem. There's a comment I just looked over. Yes, Port changed guys last year, but Steinley's still there, so I'm sure there's a little consulting going on. Excuse me. Pat on line 4. Pat, how are you?
Good, Jeremy. How are you? Love the show.
Thank you.
I think it's great what you do out there in Central PA. A couple of things I want to talk about. I could go on and on about this. I'm 65 years old, originally from PA. I live in Savannah, Georgia, so you're getting a long caller here today. I want to know your opinion. Do you ever think there will ever be a race series or a 5-race series between the Outlaws and High Limit?
No.
Because there's a lot of chattering back and forth with Rico and Gravel.
No, I don't think they'll ever be working together under the current regimes. Absolutely not.
Well, it's a shame that they don't do that, because this way we could settle this once and for all. It's a sad thing. The other thing I wanted to talk about, remember years ago, man, I used to come out to Williams Grove and Hagerstown. Back in that day, they'd have a 2-day show. I believe you would get paid $8,000 on a preliminary night, and the guys that I believe finished first and second were already into the dash the next night. Am I correct on that?
Used to be World of Outlaws the top 4.
It was a top 4.
Yeah.
But I sort of miss that format. I think they should go back to that. And back in that day, it was $8,000 to win on a Friday, or a one day, and then $12,000 the next night. And I don't, the Outlaws are only paying what, 10 now, 12, and the sophistication and the money to run these operations is outrageous. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, the money's better now. There's more big shows now. I understand what you're saying, but High Limit does that deal where they have a 2-day show. The first day they lock in 4 guys, but they lock them into the heat races. So it's not the dash.
Okay.
No, I don't have too much of a problem with the national formats. I never did, because they're the best of the best. They adjust to it. And I still see my best racing watching the national tours, whether it's World of Outlaws or High Limit. I'm not saying local shows don't have good races. They do. There was one at Lincoln this past Saturday night. But I think when you have cars that are pretty equal, like you do on the national tours, and you see them, scrapping for position and dicing back and forth, it doesn't get any better. Those are the top guys. So I have no problem with the formats for the national tours. I know a lot of people do. They want to see gravel start 15th. Well, that's not going to happen. So might as well not even. You can't.
Can you imagine back in the day, Sammy and Steve? Geez, they'd have been on the front row for everything every race. Because, them 2 qualified 1-2 almost all the time.
Well, I get it.
I get it.
It's changed.
Today it is, and you should be rewarded. I agree with that. But I just think on a 2-day show, if the top 4, should get a little more of a break to get into, to the next show if it's a 2-day show. Because, you can start the night out bad and you behind the 8 ball the whole time and never really get a shot. But if you work hard the night before, hey, here you are. You're right. At least you got a spot. Even if you, start 6th in the A or 6th in the dash, you still got a chance to go to the front, but you're already into it. But you work so hard to get there the night before. I don't know. It's just I sort of like that format better back in the day. I don't know. That's a little bit of my opinion, but the other thing I wanted to talk about too is, I've been watching this Cameron Smith. I got Dirt Vision and Flow. I watch you guys every weekend and what's going on. And that kid Cameron Smith to me is a very quiet kid, but he's been pulling top 10s. He starts maybe, back of the pack, and he works his way forward. Is that a high dollar team?
It's not. I mean, Rick Lefevre owns it. It's not. I mean, they have nice stuff, but it's not like way high dollar. Like it's not like Macri and maybe some of the others. I think well funded. I think it's nice stuff, and I like Cameron Smith. I've talked about him last year. I think he's getting better and better each year, and he's only 20 years old. So I think he's an up-and-coming guy in Central PA. We need that. Now our 20-year-olds are California's 14 and 15-year-olds. But no, I think he's doing well. I think Steven Snyder's doing well. I think a guy to watch is Buddy Schweibens, who has a pair of top 10s at Port Royal. He finished 11th with the World of Outlaws last year. He has like 9 4-10 starts, 10 4-10 starts. So we have some younger guys now who are 18 to 21, which again, like California, that'd be their 14-year-olds. But Pennsylvania has some guys coming up, and I'm anxious to see how they do.
Yes, and that's one of the things that, it's just so impressive about Pennsylvania is somewhere somebody seems to start rising up to the top. And the car owners there, you got some car owners there yet and everything. The other thing that drives me crazy, these boys in California, because I guess, on these short tracks, they do some kamikaze slide jobs on some of this stuff. And then when they get out to run against the Outlaws and that, and they guys get mad about that stuff. I mean, you're crazy out there the way they drive. They really are.
But they settle down.
I watch them too.
But they settle down.
Yeah.
It works itself out. Buddy Kofoid doesn't drive, and even Carson Macedo doesn't drive like he used to. It works itself out. Look, the California guys are really good. There's a reason they're near the top of the wins list and the earnings list every year. They're good. It doesn't matter if it's USAC and it doesn't matter if it's wing cars. Rico, Buddy, Carson. They're the top every year.
Yeah.
So
Buddy's matured a bunch over the years. He's matured a bunch over the years.
Yeah.
I watched him when he started out at midgets and started working his way up. And I think what it is, when they get to that national tour, they realize you got to finish in the top 5 every night if you want to have a shot at championship. And the way Gravel's done it, I believe, him, teaming up with Cody and putting that operation together. Let's face it, all these good guys that are really good, they've had a crew chief, the same crew chief, 5, 6, 7 years in a row. And they start to gel. They read each other. They know what they want, and that's a tough thing to do nowadays. And what other than Macri and Joe Mooney is doing a fantastic job. Yeah, I thought Macri wouldn't have got that injury. He would have definitely. He was an outlaw killer, straight up. He had him. He had him.
Yeah.
And do you agree with me on that, El?
Yeah.
The
Look, Buddy's going to be the best in the sport at some point here. I think, Macri, the injury is unfortunate. I think it's bad for Central Pennsylvania. It definitely takes somebody away who can beat the World of Outlaws and also go on the road and carry that Central PA banner. So it's disappointing. It's unfortunate, but this is what happens in this sport. It's still dangerous, as I said this morning. And but I agree with that. But I do have to get back to the chat because it's kind of piling up.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you for your time. I've been listening to you all the time, and
Thank
take
you,
care
Pat.
and go PA Posse.
Well, thank you,
Bye.
Pat. I appreciate it. All right. If I-55 rains out, does anyone make the trip to Port Royal Saturday? That's a long haul. You're looking at about 13, 14 hours. You're looking at about 14, 15 hours. I doubt that. That's a long haul. Karklin can race. It was a matter of time. You said he'd win this year. I didn't think he'd win like that. That was one of the weirdest day mains I've seen in a long time. But a win's a win. Jeremy, where did Huset's get the dirt? I heard they were trying to get it from Knoxville. I don't think they got it from the same place. I've heard 2 different spots, so I'm unsure which one it is. Jeremy, have back injuries been a recent thing, or has this been common in sprint car racing for the past 30 years? This is a good question because, talking to some guys, the guys back then, I don't think they went to the ambulance and they just kind of shook it off. I'm not saying they were tougher. But we didn't have the advancements that we have now. So I'd be willing to bet Steve Kinsler got out of a car and something didn't feel right. And he just went back to the trailer and raced the next night. I think that's why a lot of these guys are walking around bent over and really in bad shape in their latter years. And I just think it's because they didn't get it taken care of. They didn't go to the ambulance. They didn't, get checked out by a doctor and get treatment. And then obviously they go through problems now where they can barely walk or they're hunched over or, limbs aren't working the way they were before. So I think it's just a case that I think there's a lot of merit to that. I don't think it's that it's maybe recent. I think it just maybe wasn't reported. We didn't have social media then either, where it would be talked about over and over again. So I just think times have changed. I refuse to believe that back injuries didn't happen years ago when I'm watching these guys walk around and, they're just banged up. Has Craig Kinsler announced his retirement or just sitting back waiting for something? I just think he's moved on. I don't think he needed to renounce. He's not. Craig Kinsler is kind of this quiet guy who doesn't do fanfare. You're not going to see a retirement tour. He doesn't even need to announce it. It just goes away. I just think I don't think it's something he feels he probably needs to do. I don't know what his status is. I probably should give him a call and see if I get him on the deep dives, just say what's going on. But we have our deep dive booked for this week, so it won't be this week. Started a new venture last weekend being an official at Williams Grove, and it gave me a whole new perspective on this industry. I wish fans could see what goes into a race night. I think people don't understand the costs associated with running a racetrack, the cost of what it takes to run these teams, the logistics involved with running either of them. I think to be behind the curtain, you definitely get a different perspective. I'm glad you did that, and I'm glad it changed your perspective. Have you done a deep dive with Steve O'Neill? I'd be interested in that. Yes, it's on YouTube. I did do one with Steve O'Neill. Jeremy, do you remember Randy Plummer's wreck in the Middlesworth car ended his career? Ooh, that one I don't remember. What year was it? Get back to us. If insurance is an issue, why are they letting under 12 years old in the pits? I remember when that little boy got injured in a fire in the pits at Port Royal. Look, my opinion is you should have to be 16 to be in a pit area. Unless you're driving the car, which I don't think in Pennsylvania you can. We don't really get that. People lie anyway, but I don't think anybody below the age of at least 14 should be allowed in a pit area. But if I owned a track, it'd be 16. You'd have to be 16. That's it. I know that's not a popular stance. You wouldn't have your kids in there, even if they're at the trailer. I've seen some things go on that just inches of catastrophe. So 16 would be my age. I agree with you. Is the Charlie Sorokic running this year with Austin Bishop? Maybe it didn't, and I didn't see it. I don't think it is. I think they're scaling back. Has there been studies done between the carbon seats versus aluminum? None that I'm aware of, but I'm sure the seat companies have done something. I know that these seat companies do testing. My only concern with that would be it's under optimum conditions, and I don't know how you duplicate a crash to the letter. I just don't know how you do that. But yeah, I'm sure they've done testing. I'm sure they have. I would think any reputable seat company would do something like that. Hopefully this hasn't been asked. Just joined. Any rumors on if the 39M will race with someone else till Anthony is back healthy? I think it's very unlikely because who do you put in it? Who is going to have the performance to equal the cost of the car? And obviously that's critical. I think it would probably be cheaper to let it sit, even paying the crew. So I don't expect anybody to be in it unless they put somebody in for, say, the Weikert or a big race. I could see something like that, but on the regular, I don't think so. Jeremy, do you place legal bets on sprint car racing? I have. Yes, I have. In fact, did very well in Florida. I hit them all. I got, it was good fortune. Last year, not so much. Any thoughts on 358 car counts to start the year? Seem to be lower. I've heard it's due to track conditions and purse payout. Thoughts? I touch on it a little bit in tomorrow's 90 at 9 as one of my random thoughts. It's a concern. Lincoln has drawn 14 and 18 cars. That's not good for a track that normally gets 30 of those things. The Grove getting 22, I think that's expected. They kind of hover in that 22 to 26 range. But Lincoln's a big concern, especially since Babs got 27. I do think there's some personality conflicts. I do think there's some track condition conflicts between teams and some management down there. I do think that is a problem. I hear it in the pit area all the time, and it's reflecting in the car count right now at 14 and 18. Does it change? Maybe. We'll see. Something to watch in the future. It was either 1994 or 1995. He was the original Middlesworth driver. He went out over turn 3 and 4 at Sealands Grove. Barry Campen took over driving for them. God, that's 30 years ago. I don't remember it. I apologize. That's horrible. I can remember stuff from 85, and for some reason I can't remember this. I apologize. Why not consolidate 358s and 360s into one class? I don't know if it would help at URC. How many, or do they even race anymore? That series is on life support. You're going to have to make changes to the cars because one has more torque coming out of the corner than the other. So that's an issue. So again, guys are going to have to change their cars. So look, just get rid of one of them. Just get rid of the 360s because I don't think there's a ton of them running in central Pennsylvania anymore. I know 360 guys will get mad that I said that, but it's on life support. Come on. Will the 71 be in PA this weekend? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on with that car. I wouldn't be surprised. Parker hasn't been out for a few weeks. I think it'll go to Attica, personally. I think it makes more sense. They're closer, and it's a 2-day show. It's a 2-day all-star show at Attica. I wouldn't be surprised if the 71 shows up there. With safety big, a large topic these days, how can other track safety crews learn from one another when no information is shared? If so, where? Look, I think this is a supply, or I should say a supply or a chain problem. It's not really supply chain, it's supply of information. I do think there's problems. I do think, but I don't think anybody knows anything right now. I think the Macri thing, it's going to take time to study that. I think tracks, I know BAPS does a training thing. I know a couple other tracks do training. I know MedStar does some training with local speedways. So I think that's all good. Could it be better? Sure, it could. I still see fire crew guys in T-shirts, which is just wacky to me. If insurance saw that, they'd be done. So I don't know. I just think it's typical. It's fragmented. The sport's fragmented. So you're going to have that. Don't count out Cameron Smith. Kids coming on. Nope, looks good. Is Caleb Johnson running his own equipment this year? From what I gather, I think he got a bunch of partners together, and yes, I saw the car online. Looks nice. Can't Ford Motor Company that's worth $45 billion make a division where they rebuild all kinds of sprint car motors? I think that's easier said than done. They can't get the ones right that they're already putting out. If you can't get those right, how are you going to build them for everybody? I mean, I think it's a very small piece of their business. I don't think it's priority number one. So I think that's a big ask. Thoughts on Wagaman running port while Lincoln was racing? I believe that was a first. Yeah, they're following the series. They sent the 27H of Steven Snyder to Lincoln. Made sense. And, Wagaman's wants to get laps at Port Royal. Obviously, they're chasing the series. Need to get better there. He has a win there, but obviously could run better. So it made sense, especially when they sent the 27H over to Lincoln. Justin Sanders running mid-pack at Placerville. Told he had motor issues. Still went 19th to 7th. He had motor issues most of the night. Caleb is also running the high breeder car. Yes. Forgot about that. Thank you. Which driver from either High Limit or Woo switches series if they have a bad year this year? That's some crystal ball stuff there. I don't know. I mean, it's way too early to tell, but I think it depends on the franchise deal. I think Kerry Madsen can earn one. He's 6th in points now. That leaves 4 of them available. Can somebody buy one? I don't think right now one of the top teams will. That's a tough one to answer. I don't think anybody from High Limit goes to the Outlaws. The Outlaws have 17 guys now. That's just too many. It's just too many. They're going to eat, your bottom guys. Once you get past 13, they're going to eat each other. They're just not going to make money. What happened to Lance Dewease on Saturday? I haven't heard. It was a valve spring in the motor. In the heat race, the nozzle fell off. Any word on Jeremy Weaver? I recall you said a few weeks back that he was going to join All-Stars for the season. Yes, as far as I know, he is. He is an All-Star driver. Jeremy, everyone knows California tracks are rough and tumble historically. Is there a reason why they can't get tracks smoother there? That I don't know. Maybe they don't want to. That I can't answer. I'm not a track prep ace. I know enough to be dangerous, I guess. I just think they're giddy up out there. I think they water them a ton, and I think they dry out quick. I just think they have a cushion. That's one thing. They don't mow down the cushion. And that's a good thing. I'm good with that. They don't mow down the cushion, and it's giddy up. That's it. I see the Stars are up 1-0. I like it. Need to add some more to that. Will Tanner Holmes have any top 10s this week? Ooh. 1. He'll have 1. I'll even tell you where it's going to be. It'll be at Baps. Will, on line 6, you're late tonight, Will.
Yeah, I know.
Did you wake up or something? Or would you just wake up?
No, I'm a auto mechanic by trade, so I had to get a job done before I could get on the phone.
All right, fair enough. What do you got for me?
Well, I know the topic. Macri got hurt.
Yep.
I don't know what more racing can do. I mean, racing has come a long way with safety, on bits and pieces on the car. I mean, they're racing in a full cage now compared to the way they raced in the 50s and 60s with no cage, seat belts, fire suits. I really don't know. They just, they have to understand the risk, and it's a big risk.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that.
It's dangerous to drive these cars.
No, I can't deny that. Loud.
It's a great sport.
Hey, Will.
I'm sorry I cut you off, sir.
No, Will. Loudest said you were in the work area. That was the problem.
Well, these days, what work area?
Well, but no, look, it is a dangerous sport, and I think sometimes we want it to be injury-free. That's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. But I do think you need to put your best foot forward and at least investigate crashes and see what you can do. So, I mean, it's part of any sport. You try and improve.
Yeah, it's a fantastic sport. Oh yeah, it's fantastic to spectate and be a part of, be at live too. It's just, I just know it's a dangerous sport, and there's the youth movement has started, and I just don't want to see a bunch of those kids in wheelchairs before they're 30.
I agree.
Well, thanks for taking my call. Oh, by the way, Sanders, I was running mid-pack. I saw you saw that, but motor issues or something. But it just didn't seem that, that race they weren't much passing. It didn't seem like.
Well, he managed to get past 12 cars. So, I mean, but yeah, I was told he had motor issues.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for taking my call, and we'll see you next time.
No problem. Thank you, Will. All right. Let's cruise through the chat here. Jeremy, have you ever experienced with a driver's girlfriend has caused issues on a team which caused unnecessary drama for crew members? Yes. Of course I've seen that. Some pretty big teams, but I'm not going to get into their personal business, but yes. I've seen definitely wives/girlfriends affect teams. Yes. And even other teams. Yeah, over the years, plenty. Jeremy, best fights you've ever seen in the infield or pits between drivers. Who could throw down? Well, I'd say in central Pennsylvania, Chad Layton. You didn't really want to mess around with the Layton clan. I know Mark Smith, one night there was a big brawl at Port Royal, and he just went in there and started pulling people out. He's a former wrestler. I wouldn't have messed around with Andy Hillenberg, Greg Hodnett, obviously Steve Kinzer. Those guys are all pretty rough. You didn't want to definitely in an alley. You didn't want, like, Chad Layton would punch you before he'd even argue with you. So those were some who stood out. I mean, Todd Schaefer would get riled up. I don't know how. I mean, Keith Kaufman. Don't fight Keith Kaufman. No. Big mistake. So Keith Kaufman, Hodnett Hodnett never got in anything that I know of, but I know he wasn't a guy to pick on. Terry McCall, I saw a lot of Terry McCall, I know can throw down. Steve Kinzer, Andy Hillenberg, trying to think of some others. But yeah, tough guy. They were tough guys. Why don't the tracks move the chalk line to the front stretch to try avoiding the fourth turn carnage? Because there'll be too much carnage going into turn one. It's been tried. They put it farther down the front stretch, and then it was total mayhem going into one. So you couldn't do that. It's been tried. Jeremy, thoughts on the rejuvenated Mansfield Speedway? TIFF puts a lot of resources into the complex. Yeah, I'm anxious to see how it turns out. I do plan to go to the World of Outlaws events in October, and we'll see how it develops. We'll see how we'll see how those races turn out. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on it, especially the dirt, the facility. I know he's put a lot of money into it and cleaned it up. We'll see this year how it turned out. Chad Layton was always fun to watch. He was a gasser. Yes, he was. With some driver owners changing yearly, who is the longest driver owner combo in Central PA? It's Dietrich, and I think it's Gary Kaufman and Dietrich. Pretty sure. I think it dates back to 2009, 2010? Something like that. I don't know. Chad Trout and Randy Oberlander, I don't know how long that one's been. I would say Dietrich Kaufman. They've been together a long time. Before that, it was Jerry Parrish and Brian Monteith were together forever. So I think it's Gary Kaufman and Danny Dietrich. Pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure. Do you see any more dirt guys heading to any of the NASCAR series in the upcoming years? None right now. I don't think there's a pipeline there. I don't think we have that steady stream anymore. And I don't necessarily think Corey Day's going to jumpstart that. I just don't feel that. So I don't think we're going to lose a bunch of guys, no. Skagit does back straight starts, correct? I'm unsure of. I don't watch a lot of Skagit. I think Loud has said not on the original start. That's kind of like the Outlaws. The Outlaws used to be on restarts. You could start out of turn 2. If the leader went, you're good to go. So I think the starts are in turn 4. Thank you, Lauda. I appreciate that. Stars 1, Flames 1, of course. If I hit the parlay, I don't care. Do you think John Westbrook and the 1W will have a top 5 finish this year? No. I love John. John's a good guy, but no. It's going to take a lot. When is the Van May deep dive? Not sure. It's on the list. Jeremy, who is Jake Conklin? I think you mean Karklin. How much do you know about him? He's new to me. He ran 360s. He didn't win there. At 410, he's moved up, and this was his first win. He's led laps before. He's shown speed. He's had, I believe he had a second place finish at Sealands Grove was his previous high. He doesn't have a ton of starts in a 410. It's not like he's been around for a long time. Like I said, he was in the 360 ranks. Like he doesn't even have 100 starts. He has 73 starts, 1 win, 14 top 10s. His first race was in 2022 in a 410. And he's run roughly between 21 and 26 races a year since. Just a local guy cutting his teeth. Not bad. That's why I said he'd win this year. Jeremy, how would a 1990 sprint car match up to modern day sprint cars? Well, they didn't have a weight rule then, or I don't even know when that came. I'm not 100% sure when that came in. And then, of course, it moved. Tires are different. I mean, you would think the newer model with the current tires would be better. That's a tough call. It's a tough call. Will the Sharks make the playoffs? If they do a Celebrini MVP, he's going to be in the running for the Hart Trophy. So if the Sharks make it, there's a serious case for him. I've been listening to a lot of hockey talk lately, and the guys who you put above him. Now, if I'm voting today, I probably make it Kucherov from the Lightning. He's been snubbed many times. I don't know why. It's beyond me. But he's missed some games recently. The Sharks have some good offensive players. The goaltending, and the defense. So I think Celebrini deserves a lot of consideration for the Hart Trophy. And yes, I think if they make the playoffs, he's going to get a lot of play. If they don't, he won't. I think he's tremendous until I needed him to get 2 points last night, and he couldn't do it against a bad Blackhawks defense. I don't know how that happens, but whatever. That's why I thought it was a good bet, good play. I'd make it again. But I lost. But yeah, no, he should get votes, especially if they make the playoffs. But I give it to Kucherov. McDavid too doesn't have Draisaitl now, and they rattled off five straight before they lost. We'll see what they do tonight. McDavid has to get love because Draisaitl's been out for 10, 12 games now, and the Oilers have maintained in that division. So things like that go a long way. I think Cole Caulfield should get a lot of love. That guy is really, really, really good. And the Canadians, they have over 100 points. So those four guys are the guys I look at now for MVP. But Celebrini deserves a lot of love. Should get votes if they make it. Gonna seem a little sad 39M not racing. I think it's a loss for the area, yes. With 8 high limit events competed this season, what drivers are out of the contention for the championship? I think probably Reitzel, Rico, Courtney, and Thorson are the guys who are in it still. Those are the guys who are in it. Those four. Outside of that, no chance. Jeremy, has there ever been a sponsorship in sprint car racing or dirt racing that wasn't allowed? I don't think so. It's funny you say this. There was a funeral parlor that wanted to sponsor a racetrack. I'm not going to say who. They turned it down because it was a little creepy at the racetrack. And that they were going to have a hearse going around. It wasn't a good vibe. So, yeah, no. Other than that, I've seen them turned down for racetracks, but not cars, really. I don't know about cigarette companies. I don't know if they were interested in sprint cars or not. at the time, at way back when, but the funeral thing didn't work. It didn't mesh. Brian on line 7. Brian, what do you got?
Yes, sir. Was wondering if you could maybe talk about where your thoughts are on weekly sprint car racing across the nation. If you see it strong with high car counts, or if you see it dwindling and kind of just fizzling out because of the expense of it, or what your take is on that.
I think it's in trouble. I think weekly racing's in trouble because of all the high profile events. California doesn't have any weekly racing with 410s. They have 360s at Placerville and Marysville and Watsonville, and that's about it as far as weekly. So for 410s, you don't have a ton of weekly tracks to begin with. I think it's in trouble. I think we've now made this sport to where there's such a focus on the big events that the weekly shows just don't matter as much. And then you have 2 national series now, like Central Pennsylvania, for instance, is the strongest weekly racing there is. And they're struggling to get cars. We had 24 and 25 this past weekend, but we have 17 sanctioned shows. We have 35 shows of $10,000 or more. Something's got to give. And it's very easy for the weekly, for a fan in say, Central PA to go, well, I'm going to go to some series races. I'm going to go to the Kings Royal Knoxville, and then I'm going to catch all the sanctioned shows. That's 35 to 40 races, 45 races, and then I'm done. I'll go get Flow, and I'll watch the weekly racing at a cheaper price, or I'll just go do something else on those Saturday nights. I think weekly racing's in trouble.
How do you fix that, do you think? Do you have any ideas?
I don't know if you can at this point, because you're not going to take away these big races. That ship has sailed, and we're adding more. I mean, think about it this way: Huset's and Knoxville essentially have become big event tracks. I think Huset starts in May; they're done in, I think, Labor Day. Now, granted, they're up in North Dakota and the weather doesn't cooperate. But they have like 9, I think I counted last year, like 9 local shows. Knoxville, only 9 to 11. I mean, they have USAC come in. They have the World of Outlaws come in a couple times before Knoxville. They have the late model nationals. I don't think you can fix it. It would have to be a total revamp of your platform at a racetrack to do it. In Pennsylvania, I don't think the PA series is necessarily a game changer. I don't think it's going to bring fans, because I don't think fans care about points. But I do think it's going to divide cars and divide fans and take them away from the weekly show. And I don't feel they're going to get rid of the PA series, and they're definitely not getting rid of sanctioned shows. I just think it's Pandora's box is wide open, and I don't think you're going to be able to close it.
What is PA doing so good with the 305s that they're getting 40 cars every week? Are they doing something special with that class?
No, I think it's a cheaper alternative at this point. I think it's a starter division, and I think that's it. The guys can't afford to run 358s or 410s, so they run that. We were getting guys to move up.
Have you heard anything?
I'm sorry?
Have you heard anything about Christopher Bell this year in a PA car?
I've not heard anything about that. The doors.
I appreciate it.
Yep, the door's still open. I think probably if it wants to do something with the 69K, but I have not heard of anything being done.
Got it. Well, I appreciate it, Jeremy. Thanks very much. Big fan of the show.
Yep. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. All right. Let's get flying through these questions. The Oilers come on in about 10 minutes. 2 hours is enough for my voice. All right. Let's fly through them. What caused Macri to bicycle? Was it track conditions? No. He had to woe up behind the car of Joey Ematea. He had to get off the gas, got the car out of shape, and looked like he got into the cushion. What are your most watched deep dives? Lance Dewease, Kevin Swindell, some other good ones, really good ones were Steve Beitler. We did 2 with Steve Beitler because it was just so good. But Lance Dewease and Kevin Swindell. Mike Hess was good. It was right around the time he got fired from the Outlaws, or soon after that, and we talked to him. So they're all pretty good. I mean, some obviously better than others, but those are the ones that stand out. Hopefully, I'm hoping this week's is good. What do you estimate the average Woo team spends on tires only for an 80 race season, not factoring motors, chassis, travel? Just I've heard 70, 80,000. Now, whether those numbers are accurate, I don't know, but I've heard them. Does the DGRD 6 show up this weekend? Where would it go? 34 Raceway, maybe? I think it's a possibility. What is the latest on the crash sensor the Woo was adding to car last season and this season? Can they be implemented for the PA tracks? I'm sure they can. I know they're still working with that, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that's done down the road in PA. I assume there'll be cars with it on this year even. Do you set any guidelines, rules with anyone you interview, whether it be trackside or deep dive? No, I never have when I do interviews, I don't talk to them at all. I don't want it to be talked about. I want it to be totally organic. Whatever question comes up, some guys will say, hey, what do you want to talk about? And I'll say on a deep dive, and I'll say, just your career. I'm going to hit on some touchy subjects, but and if they say no, I'm not going to do it. Unless it's somebody where it's really good, where I can touch on some things. All the guys have been really good, but I don't pre-interview them. I don't do any of that. I just fire away off the cuff. I saw something on Chaz's show that everything I do is scripted. That is a total lie. The only reason the 90 at 9 is written out is because I memorize it and I tape it. If I ad-lib it, it's going to be more than it already is, and I don't want it to be longer. I just did 2 hours on this show. Everything's ad-libbed. I have no idea what's coming. So that just goes to show you how smart some people are. But the 90 at 9, I write it out, and then I memorize it, but then I change it on the fly. I say different stuff anyway. I don't do anything on ChatGPT. I hate all AI. All right, let's get rolling. Is SprintCarUnlimited TV still a thing, or did the series run you off? You should do Sealands Grove. I'm trying to get our Speed Week. Right now, I'm trying to get our Speed Week shows. We're still in the running for Speed Week. Who drives the CBI car next season with high limit? I have heard that Boat Spire car is going high limit next season. I've heard rumblings of that. I don't know. I mean, I interviewed Logan Seavey on the podcast, and he didn't sound like a guy who was making the jump. He said he didn't rule it out, but he said he has a really good gig with USAC. I don't know if that's something he does. So I don't know. That's a big. And I interviewed Jeff Dickerson on a deep dive, and he made it sound like there wasn't going to be another Spire car out there. But who knows? Things change, and we'll have to see at the end of the year. Will this be Lance's last year? I don't think so. I don't think so. Jeremy, are you eligible for the Sprint Car Hall of Fame? Yeah, you only have to be 50. I'm 54, so if somebody nominated me, that would be a great honor. But yeah, I mean, I would suppose I'm eligible. Will you be watching and or betting on the Masters? And if so, what are your picks? Look, I've had enough of golf. Okay? I ruined Scotty Scheffler for a couple weeks. I'm off the golf thing. I don't know what I'm doing, obviously. I'm going to stick to hockey and football, and that's it. Unless Lauda gives me some pointers on the LPGA. Do you follow college hockey? If so, what do you like in this week's Frozen Four? I like Michigan. Think their road to the final, to the Frozen Four was tough, and I like them. Will Thorson finish top 4 in points? Ooh, yes. I think yes, 3rd or 4th. Oh, good question. What is your opinion on people trying to interview drivers after a wreck? Look, they can decline. They give them the option. They don't make them do it. They ask. Tony Laporta asks. I know Connor Wade asks. And you've heard him decline. As long as you give him the option, I'm okay with it. Look, times change. Things evolve. We're in a different medium now. And they have the option to decline. So as long as they have that option, I'm good with it. Jeremy, would a national touring 305 class on the World of Outlaws Tour as a support class be a wise decision? Create stars of tomorrow and highlight them on 90 shows a year. Here's an interesting thought. That's an interesting thought. I'm okay if it's invitation only. I don't want to see 40, 50, 305 guys on a showing up at outlaw shows. Absolutely not. So if you cap it where you control it, I'm good with it. If not, then I have a major issue with it. That's interesting. I've never really been asked that. But no, I mean, it can't be 40, 50 cars showing up. No. It's got to be like 3 heats, Conti, and that's it. No time trials. No, you can't have it drag out. Of course. Why not? What period's it in? Well, it can't be, it's probably second period. All right, guys, that's a wrap. I'm going to go sulk in this Flames Stars deal. Check out the Oilers. Again, thank you very much to everybody who joined the show. I appreciate it. And we'll be back next week. Stay tuned.